Okay, great. We can start then.
Alright, so the first question on the Google Doc is, who's your favorite troll and your favorite kid?
Hi, just making sure this is working. It made me switch to, oh my god, you can see it in the doc. Shit. It made me switch to push to talk, and so now every time it's just a whole bunch of things.
Oh,
let me close that. So sorry, what was the question again?
The question was, who is your favorite troll and your favorite kid?
I think I've gone on record pretty haphazardly even. My favorite troll is Aradia. Just yeah.
Who doesn't love Aradia?
But my favorite kid is well, I'm a little biased, I guess, because I know a lot more about the new ones than everyone else. Of the originals, I would probably say Jade. Then of the alphas, probably Roxy, and then of the new kids, it's probably Tavi. He's very funny.
Really? I get it.
Yeah, you'll get there.
A couple months, hopefully.
Yeah, it's slow going.
Yeah, we get it. It's fine.
I think that's the hardest part of all of it, is just not saying anything. Because if it were up to me, I would just talk about it a lot.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of the questions I had to pick out was just like, I didn't want to get any of them that was like, oh, is this?
If I can't answer something, I'll just be like, I don't know, what's that? I've never heard of it before. Actually, one of my favorite things to do online is just pretend I don't know what something is, and then have people explain it to me. Just over and over. I made a post once that was like, "Oh, there's only two kinds of apples," and then you not believe how like the Apple community came together.
Apple community.
Is it Apple community?
Honeycrisp are the best, solidly.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that, but there's only two kinds of apples. There's green ones and red ones, and anything else is, and I think you were maybe lied to, and that's really sad, but that's okay.
I mean,
so long story short, in a nutshell, my favorite troll is Aradia, and I guess out of everyone, Roxy's still probably my favorite.
You have a favorite ancestor? Question mark?
No. And I get that question a lot. It's like, oh, what do you, I don't think about the Dan sisters at all.
That's understandable. Yeah,
it's very interesting to me when someone will say like, oh, like, you know, Latula's like my favorite character, and I'm like, oh, cool. Why? You know, like, that's so fascinating to me because she's nothing, but not like in like a rude way.
Yeah.
Like, she has like 6 lines of dialogue and like a design, you know, and so it's like, oh, okay. And I think that that's actually really, like, as a creator and as a writer, that's like something really important to think about, is like this fandom interpretation of a character.
Yeah.
You know? And there's always somebody that cares a whole lot about, because you'll be like, who cares about this character? And it's like, there's like 7 people who will DM you and be like, this, first of all, here's why you're wrong about Matuna. And I'm like, oh, tell me more. I'm like fascinated to hear this, actually, please.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So if I had to pick one, I think Horus has a really funny design. My long-term partner designed all of those characters.
Really? That's nice.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
They were all done by one person?
Yeah, that would be Marigo on Twitter and Tumblr, etc.
Oh shit, I'll check them out.
Awesome sauce.
That's so cool.
We were ready for the next question?
Sure.
All right. Who are your top 3 favorite Hiveswap characters?
So I really like really like Ardata. I think she's very funny.
Winner.
But again, a lot of these characters don't have like a ton of characterization until you get to like friend sim. So it's like it's almost it's like unfair. Some of them were good. I liked Ardata. I liked Remily. I thought it was funny. A lot of ceruleans. I gotta pick a third one. I guess Joey. Joey's fun.
Joey's funny, yeah. Like,
and I feel like Joey didn't really get a ton of a personality until Act 2 because of writing staff changes. But yeah, I think Joey's great. You know who I don't care for, and there's kind of like an untrue rumor about it's like I don't like ZBD. And everyone's like, that's the one that's based off of you. They're not based off of me. And I feel like there's like a quote from me from like years ago that's sort of like misunderstood about. So it's like on their like track commentary. ZBD was made to replace a character that was previewed in the like early Hiveswap stuff called Beekeeper Troll. And the reason we replaced Beekeeper Troll was not some sort of like weird secret, just that person that was like, it was literally a drawing of them in the beekeeper outfit, I guess, and that person stopped working for us, so we're like, we're not going to use your likeness in the game, so they came up with another one. But a lot of people really liked that character, and a certain like demographic of people really like that character because there are not safe for work drawings of the character. And it got kind of weird, and it's like, we're not going to use it. We're not going to use this. And then the lead writer at the time, who is kind of, excuse my language, a bit of a shithead to me, like, was like, wouldn't it be funny if we said this character that was based off of you? Wouldn't that make a lot of people really mad? And I'm like, please don't do that. And then they did it. And they just said it was based off of me, and I'm like, great.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. So now I'm stuck with this character that's kind of a weirdo, but whatever. If somebody likes him, they like him.
Yeah.
Like I was going back to what I said earlier, where it's just like, somebody out there likes every character, no matter how strange or unexciting.
So I guess it's kind of hard to answer this question because you can't really delve into like future stuff. But currently, as it stands, or however much you can say, what has been the hardest character to write for beyond canon?
Jake English. Easy question, because
why is that?
Because he talks real stupid. Because he says fucking gadzooks and shit, and it's like, oh damn it. I'm sorry. I swear a lot. I'll try and tone it down.
No, it's fine.
It's
everybody swears. Nobody. It's cool.
It's because he's always saying, like, he takes a lot of words to say one thing. So you kind of have to, yeah.
He yaps.
Yeah, he's yapping.
Has he ever said egads? Probably, right?
Oh, I'm sure. There's a lot of stuff like that where it's just like the characterization is a lot less difficult than I would say like the quirk a lot of the time. Like Mina is hard to write because of the fish puns. So the way to counter that is just like, well, then just do more of them and get used to it, chump. It's like, okay, yes, sir. Except I'm the sir. Like, I guess I'm in charge. So I don't know. I talked about this briefly in the writer's commentary on the Patreon. Quick plug for that, I guess. Thank you for paying my rent.
I love reading those. Yeah.
Where it's like when you do the second person narration, it's not really them. Like it's not them thinking it. It's like the writer's impression of them. So it gets really, I don't know. There's just a lot of very funny things that can happen there. And I would say that so far the most difficult one has been Jake English, maybe Dirk is kind of hard to write for too, because it's just like it's very the opposite end of that. Dirk is very easy to mischaracterize if you're not like paying close attention to. We have basically what's called a character Bible, where it lists out each of like what the character has done so far, their motivations, how they feel about this, how they feel about other characters, and we've spent a lot of time. Like this has been in production, sort of like redoing a lot of things, and just making sure we have all of this so that we can refer to it if we're ever lost.
Andrew.
Yeah.
Andrew approached you in like 2022, right?
Andrew approached me about this, I would say, late 2022, and the project was supposed to be something else. Well, not something else entirely, but approached me just with the idea of finishing Homestuck 2, because you didn't want to just leave it hanging there, and the original plan to let's finish it and post it all at once. Well, that wasn't happening. People had kind of moved on, and I think people needed to move on a little bit. There's a lot of built up animosity and distrust and stuff like that, so it's like it was like, okay, yeah, and I'm not gonna disparage the old team just because it's like, well, I was also, several of us were also there. As one of the things where it's like the art is so much better. It's like the same artists. I guess time has just gone on. But yeah, I feel like there's a lot of it's originally, and the reason that I was brought in particular was because it was supposed to be more like the Paradox Space style, where it was like one shots and there will be some of that, and not to get too ahead of ourselves, I guess, with it. But there will be remnants of that coming in the future, where it takes sort of we play a little bit with the style and the way that it's told and all of that. But I don't know. It was a long time ago, so we've been prepping for this for a while. We have a several month buffer that we work with because I was working on Homestuck 2 before, and there was no buffer. It was we finished it, and even with Pest Request stuff, it was we did that week to week. So
damn,
it is rough. Yeah, I would sometimes have 2 days to write a song for it, and then just it's because a lot of that old stuff, it's just people have day jobs too. I mean, I guess we still have day jobs on this. But anyway, so I guess sometime around late 2022, and then, God, we've been working on it for, I would say we're about 8 months ahead where we are. Yeah, just because I don't want no funny business. I don't want to have to push it, but
no monkey business here, guys.
Yeah.
No monkey business.
So I sort of meandered. I'm very old. You'll have to excuse me. I ramble.
Don't worry, dude. I'm sure nobody here minds it.
That's
I like to yap, as they say on the TikToks. I watch a lot of I feel for a middle-aged person, I do watch a lot of TikToks, and my friend group skews to late 20s, early 30s, and we're annoying. I can't imagine. I'm not escaping any sort of millennial allegations. Dang. I'm super annoying. So it's everything I have right now to not be oh, hello, brother, and shit to you guys because I'm stupid. People were saying you put too many memes in Beyond Canon. It's oh, that's just how I talk. I'm just a moron. I'm sorry. I'll work on it.
I mean, we wouldn't mind.
Yeah, we love it, dude. This shit is amazing.
Don't worry, I'm not gonna be. I'll keep it clean. I'll try my best.
It's okay.
Okay. As many memes as you want. Question number 4. Do you have a personal favorite fan work?
I mean, I think that I say this every time this comes up. I don't read a ton of them, and now I kind of out of more of necessity. I do love Karkat Goes to a Convention. It's really good.
It is a pretty good one.
It's very funny, and like I feel like sometimes people give it like kind of a read as like mean spirited, and like I can see that, but it's also like it's it's in the nature of like the character, and I think it's very really well written. But I guess out of necessity now, and like for legal reasons, I don't read a lot of fan works because I don't want to like accidentally like, oh, I saw this cool idea in this thing, now I'm putting it in my thing. So
Yeah,
Makes sense.
it's probably difficult to get around though.
like a classic example of that is like the like Guardian style sprites and like the adult sprites, where it's like people have been posting their interpretations of this for a while, and like people would be DMing me and be like, hey, you can use these sprites if you want, and I'm like, oh, we already got all this in the like we did that months ago, like these are all designed and stuff, but I can't say anything about it, and I'm like, oh, no thank you, like
Politely, no.
there's without like spoiling it, there's so much like people will DM me stuff a lot and be like, hey, put this person back in the comic, and I'm like, that's no
Lord.
but like when there's plans for that character to like at least have like a cameo or something like that, or like resolve there's, or like people be like, one of the biggest is like, when are we gonna see this character, and I'm like, oh, they're in like the next update, and then it was like Dirk or something, and it was like, oh yeah. It's like, you're gonna get a lot of this character very soon, sorry. And then it's like, oh, that's been in planned out for like months now, so that sort of stuff where it's like, oh, I can't, and I don't want to be accused of like they took my idea, they put Dirk in the comic, he's like the main character of the comic. You guys are gonna have to reel me in because I'll go.
No, dude, it's chill. Like I said, I don't think.
Yeah, as you want.
I don't think anybody.
Ramble as much as you want. This is what we want.
Yeah,
perfect.
I don't think anybody minds you talking a lot in the stage, like in here at all.
We're here for the yap.
Of Fanworks, I very famously never read Vast Error. I've read, I think, like 3 pages of it, and I was like, cool. I don't really get it. Because it was like, this was like years and years ago. I was like, that's cool. All right, well, I won't read this. It's like when something's too long, even with Homestuck, I have trouble recommending it to my friends because it's like giving someone a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very long.
It's like, here's this chore. Like my friends don't know what it is.
Sign your life away. Read this webcomic now.
It's like telling someone to read all of One Piece, and I'm like, I'm not gonna do that.
Dude, this project is how I'm reading it because I haven't read it, so I'm like screwed.
I keep forgetting you just haven't read Homestuck.
And to be fair, most of the times whenever
than me for that, so that's fine.
I'm a better person.
To be fair, most of the times whenever I like recommend Homestuck to people, I usually end up kind of comparing it to whatever they like, because like I do know a lot of One Piece fans, and I'm like,
that's how you get them in, bro. That's how you get them.
I can't really read Homestuck because it's too long, and I'm like, damn, dude, you read One Piece, and you like, it's like the same amount of length, probably, hopefully, like,
if not shorter.
Yeah.
It's not shorter.
No, it's like I try and trick people into reading it. You're listening.
This is how I'm being tricked into reading it. I'm the John narrator, so I have to read it.
Yeah, you can't go back.
Recently, a friend of mine started reading it, and I remember weeks ago being like, you probably wouldn't like it. You shouldn't read it. I'm like, oh, really? And now they're reading it. So.
It's
updates
lovely.
me every time something happens. Is like, I'm like, oh, where are you in the comments? He's like, he just got his arms. He
He ate the apple from the tree, and the
He's
meteor
gotta get his
fell.
apple.
He played the game.
There's like this game or something. I don't know. He hasn't gotten it yet.
He hasn't got there yet.
There's this guy with sunglasses. I don't know.
It's difficult to tell people to read it when they have no context for it. Like, I had to explain, like, oh, originally these were user prompts. Somebody wrote these in on a forum, and then he drew them and used them to like craft a story. And they're like, oh, that's why it's like that. And I'm like, yeah, that's why they tell him to jump on his desk and take a shit. Yes, that's
Perfectly explained.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people forget that this comic was just like a forum like thing that
It was just for giggles or something.
yeah, it's very stupid, and I feel like that's what I try and bring back to the table as someone who is very stupid. That's what I bring to the Beyond Canon team, is that I'm dumb as fuck.
I will say, yeah, it's
Don't
very
put yourself
noticeable.
down like that.
It's very noticeable with like the recent updates that they're very much akin to like older Homestuck, like the Harry update. I love the Harry update because it felt like it was like, I'm like, damn, this feels like Act 1, Act 2, just straight shenanigans instead of like,
That's
you know, like the more serious.
There's a
type
lot
stuff.
of like, once we get through what we have to get through, which I understand is kind of a slog, kind of like sorting out all of these like loose ends.
Yeah.
And actually getting to the meat of the story, which is crazy that it took so long to do this, even with like the Homestuck 2 stuff, where it's like, oh yeah, it's taking a long time. They're not really doing anything. So we're finally getting to the point where things are happening. It's like, great, we can finally get to like the stupid jokes and scuttling around your room and shit.
Yeah.
The necessary things. We'll finally get some arms.
Yeah. So question 5, what is your Classpect and your blood color?
Oh man, so there's a long and storied history with the Classpect stuff where originally Andrew gave me a Classpect way back in the day where we were all hanging out at someone's house. Whose house was it? Doesn't matter. Sorry, this is going to be another old person story. We're all hanging.
No, you're good.
Back in the early 2020. It's actually, I think this was like number one thing to do when you're hanging out with Andrew is just to dunk on him.
Oh god.
And you're like, oh, okay, you have to give us Classpects. Like, since you know all the lore, you know, this was before Homestuck 2 even. It was like Hiveswap dev stuff, which took place in one person's apartment. So we're hanging out, and it's like, yeah, okay, give us all Classpects. And he gave me Air of Light. And I was like, okay. And then he explained it to me briefly where it was like, oh, you know, because of luck and stuff like that, and talked about it, and it's like, okay, you believe in luck, but you don't necessarily, like, you aren't a lucky person yourself, you make others around you luckier. I'm like, oh, okay, neat, that's cool. I don't really know what that means, and that kind of sounds like a dunk, you asshole, but like, fine. And then we finally got like the Classpect docs, which are very short. It's like, this is actually really unhelpful. And like a lot of fan interpretations about them, it's like, wow, how did you figure that out based on so little information? A lot of them are right, some of them are very wrong.
It's probably all in that noggin of his.
Yeah, so when he wrote it down for us, or rather he just showed us the document that he had written down all those years ago, it's like each class description is like 3 to 6 words.
Dang.
And
That's crazy.
And it's like, oh, because
like,
the class is really just about how it interacts, like how the character interacts with the aspect. And it's like, oh, okay. So you really only need like one who blanks this. It's like icy. And so that's like all, and it's like, and then there's like a passive and active sort of spectrum. And there's this idea of like tied, like class pairs and stuff like that. But interestingly, a little bit of lore that I'll drop that I'm sure someone will obsess over is pairs aren't necessarily always like, there's like a passive and active one, but they're not always like on the opposite sides of the scale. There's just a more passive or a more active one. So there you go. There's cool. It's going to be great to have this quoted. Like, oh yeah, you were in the Homestuck read-through interview. James said this. It's like, that's cool.
Didn't you say this about class-specting? Like, really?
Similarly, I told, I don't know if you know that VTuber Crimson Ruse, who recently did a Homestuck, like 413, he jammed me and was like, can you clarify this thing about Lime Bloods? And I was like, I'm going to tell you Lime Blood lore, and no one's going to believe you.
Nobody will believe you.
Here's what the Lime Bloods are like. And it's like, whoa. So, there you go. And I guess my blood color, I don't know. Probably burgundy. Because I'm an Aries.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome sauce.
Sauce.
If you could change one thing about the original Homestuck, what would it be and why?
Make it shorter. It's too long. No, I guess like a serious answer for that. It's definitely a product of its time. There's a lot of things in it that like were funny then, maybe, and are kind of inappropriate now. There's like slurs in it and shit like that, where it's just like, come on now.
Yeah.
It's like stuff like that, where it's like, it's, would I change it? Like if I were redoing, if I were there on the ground floor, I'd be like, man, don't, come on, don't say that.
Go back in time. Andrew, don't.
You gotta
cut that shit
you gotta
out.
remove the future Arachnus grip.
Save yourself, don't.
As like a queer person,
it's funny as hell.
as someone who that word has been like used against like in a negative way for a very long period, I still think it's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
you got me there.
Why did Cardcat say that? What?
I believe Cardcat's homophobic. But I don't know. There's like little things that like, sure, that I understand why they were done. Like the aracial thing, I think, is always kind of sucked for me. But it's like, instead of them being aracial, just of no race at all, it's like, I like that they are characters that you can project yourself onto. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
And what I would change about Homestuck is less about the content of the comic and more about like the decisions around it that happened. With the gift of hindsight in that regard, I would be like, maybe let's not take that deal. Let's keep the merch over here.
That is very fair.
Yeah.
I would never have struck a deal with For Fans by Fans or Wheel of Fine because they make dog water merch. It's not good.
Dog water.
And they're bankrupt, and I don't miss them. So
I think
goodbye.
calling it dog water would be a little too nice. I have made shirts of higher quality than I've bought from them.
Probably downright shit.
Yeah, it's
The
terrible.
first gen of like the shirts, like the old Topetico stuff, like I still have that, and it still looks fine. And then I got a bunch of the Wheel of Fine stuff for free when Hiveswap came out, and that stuff basically disintegrated immediately. So with Beyond Canon for merch stuff, we're like really looking into quality over like, not to disparage them, but like we don't just want like an Ikamaru drawing on a shirt that was like never meant to be a shirt. So I've been talking to apparel designers, and like distributors, and it's like it turns out there's a lot to this, and also you have to have money first.
Yeah.
You can't just
Can't
be
be
like,
broke.
yeah, be like, hey, can you just make it, and then we'll be like good for it later. Like, no, it doesn't really work like that. And so right now, like all of the money that we get from the Patreon goes, I split it evenly among the contributors each month, so nobody makes more than anybody else. Regardless of level of contribution for that like update that comes out, just because we all contribute in a different way, like a lot. It's a very even workload.
Yeah.
Though I don't see anybody else out here doing interviews on random servers. So no, I'm just
I mean, we'd love to have them out here. We just didn't know that anybody else's availability, so we wanted to hit you up like specifically.
I think everyone's busy today. Like we use this website called When to Meet for meetings, and weekends are usually like the one day that everyone has free. So I'm like, I'm not gonna make you come to like a work thing on like a.
I can promise that if you ever get coaxed into coming back here, it will go a lot smoother.
Yeah, we're really sad. There's a couple of issues beforehand, but we're very glad that you were very patient.
Yeah.
Number 7.
Number 7. Hold on. Oh my gosh, my fault. Oh gee.
Oh, I like this question.
Oh my gosh, wait. Okay. Okay, there we go. Sorry, I needed to make sure that wasn't a question Kelly wanted to read. All right,
No, you're good.
Number 7 is, who's your least favorite character?
Okay, this is a bit of a controversial one. So
Uh-oh.
I'll start out by saying,
I'm excited.
for the longest time, my least favorite character was Tavros. And I was like,
Really?
and I was kind of a hater about it, honestly, for like ages. But I've really come around on Tavros because I had to I don't want to spoil anything, but I recently had to write for Tavros a lot, and he's funny. He's stupid as fuck. Like he says the most insane things in the world, and just like, and I think that a lot of that gets lost in like the translation of his quirk and like the fandom interpretation of him being like timid. And no, he's very bold, and he says some of the funniest things in just like he says it in such a roundabout way. Like you take any sentence that he says and just think of the most insane interpretation of how to say that sentence, and that's how Tavros is saying it, where it's like, instead of being, and I think that Tavros really came into his own later when he finally stood up to like Vriska, and like I feel like he has stood up to Vriska like 17 times. And I really came around. That's the thing, is like, now that I'm like writing for them, it's like, oh, I really came around on like all of these guys. Damn. Like I used to not like Jake English because Jake English reminded me too much of a person I actually knew. And not because of the way that he talked or anything like that, but just the way that he like interacted with people and like,
Oh yeah.
sort of
He's kind of
irresponsible.
insufferable.
Like, yeah. Sort of like insufferable, irresponsible, sort of like just like there comes a point where being oblivious and clueless is no longer like cute and fun. It's like it's like it doesn't matter what your intention is because I'm still being hurt by this. So I didn't like Jake English for a while, but now he's so like, they're all just very funny, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, I guess my least favorite character, I don't know. Latula. I just don't care. Like, because I have zero opinion. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I used her as an example earlier. It's just because I have no opinion. Like, it's going to be one of the Dancestors because I just have zero opinion of, like, Damara. I don't know.
You like Latula? has.
I would have said Cronus, honestly.
There you go.
Yeah.
I forgot about Cronus, so
I feel like
Tomorrow.
almost all of Latula's personality comes from the fandom and fandom interpretation, because I remember virtually nothing about her from the comic, although that was almost a decade ago when I read it.
I feel like the only good thing that I like about some of the Dance Sisters was the scene where Terezi got to meet some of them, and it gave her a little bit of a perspective. I thought that was really cool, like her parallel with Latula, but like Latula herself is just very. That's a very fandom based character. There's
I
not
feel
much
like
that you can get done.
the most important thing that many of the Dance Sisters do, besides like 2 or 3 of them that actually do something, is just like, oh, it's like a weird pseudo reflection of these other characters that characterizes them more, and it kind of is like a. I saw some interpretation of it where it's just like, oh, there's so much wasted potential there. It's like, nope, they did exactly what they were on screen to do.
Yeah. There was not much potential to begin with, I think.
Yeah, they're background characters, so
It definitely does not help that they were created to be stereotypes.
Yeah, a lot of them are a product of their
The
time.
only thing I like about them are some of their designs, like looks, but that's about it.
yeah, a lot of them look great. They're cool designs.
Yeah, Damara and Latula are personal favorite designs. I love Damara's design so much.
True.
I like that she smokes.
Yeah,
More people should smoke in comics. Don't smoke.
Mulin too.
Oh.
Mulin too is cool as fuck. Like, it's a cat who smokes weed.
I
It's
unfortunately,
funny as hell.
I
Promoting
smoke.
smoking?
No, don't do it. I'll tell you. When I was a little kid, I'll tell you exactly what my dad told me when I was like 7. And he takes me aside and he's like, "Boy," because he used to call me boy. Ugh.
Boy?
Yeah.
He
Yikes.
twirls his crowbar mustache.
Boy!
Yeah, he was my stepdad, and he was from like the Midwest, and okay. Anyway, he'd be like, "Boy, come here," and I'm like, "Oh, cool. What's up, Pops?" He's like, "Smoking will make you look real cool," and I'm like, "Oh shit."
Oh.
And then he's like, "But you'll fucking
Alright.
die." But you'll fucking die, and I'm like, "Oh, okay. I guess I won't do that." Then. Well, you got me there. So yeah,
You got me there.
He has a
Don't-
point.
it'll probably make you look really cool, but you'll probably die. So don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't.
The cons vastly outweigh the. Are there even
Cool
any
effect.
pros?
No, it just makes you look cool.
It just makes you look cool. Cool.
I
as
mean,
fuck.
it's like it. No, we're not going to talk about the pros of smoking. Hold on. No, I'm not going to be tricked.
Derailed a little bit.
James Roach goes on record to say that drugs are good and stay out of school. Let that
Please
be known.
do drugs.
Let that be known.
I did recently on Twitter say "fuck academia." I feel like the whole this oh shit, oh fucking hold the oh fuck. All right, sorry. Every time I go to the document and I have to press like push to talk, and it just puts a bunch of apostrophes in the doc because I'm holding it down.
That gives a good spacer because that's where right in between where we are and where we're going, so it's not like it messes anything.
Yeah. Speaking of which, question 8.
Question 8. What is your favorite track that you've made for Homestuck/Hiveswap?
So far, it's probably Service Car is really good. It's the one in the train. I think it's the train station theme. It was originally for.
Oh.
It's called Service Car because it was. The train scene changed a lot, but basically that theme that I wrote for the train section, that me and Toby just did a bunch of like different versions of for the train. I really like the melody of that, and the most basic form of that is Service Car because it was supposed to be. There was like a service car on the train in the middle that just had a completely like neutral theme and not tainted by any of the Bloodcast like music stuff. So yeah, that one.
Yeah, that's fair. Question 9.
All right. What is one thing? Wait, what is one thing in the Homestuck community you'd like to see more of?
Your money. No. Hold on, sorry.
No.
I made
it's
myself
money.
We got Mr. Krabs over here.
God, Egbert needs your
I'd
help.
love to see more people paying my bills. No.
Got
Honestly,
you.
like a lot of people, like you know that fucking ancient like meme. It's the fucking Simpsons where it's like Marge is in the front seat and it's like, could you children could you calm down a little bit, like lighten up? Yeah. And I get that a lot of things are bad, and a lot of like people do some pretty heinous things online now. And you know, especially with the emergence of like, God, it's so impossible to go online and know if somebody's like a real like respond. You know, when they're just like, haha, whatever in bio. Yeah, that's a bot. But like sometimes people will respond, and you're like, is this a bot right now? Is this an AI?
It's AI.
This guy's AI generated.
Yeah, it's like, am I speaking to an NPC right now? This is crazy. So you know, it's almost impossible to be online and like not encounter someone with just the most heinous like shit to say to you.
Yeah.
So I get why people are defensive, and I get why like you know, you got to protect yourself. And a lot of people and a lot of like online communities, it's very this sort of like us or them mentality where it's like, if you're not, you know, like which I don't know, I've been young, I get it, but I think that a lot of people like, I want to have like fun again with people, and I'm not saying like we should be able to say the most dog shit slurs,
like,
you know, like,
people
no.
need to settle down a little bit.
Yeah, it's like I think that there are a lot of bad faith interpretations of things. Like I get tagged in a lot of stuff, and I see people being like, very recently there was this poll of like, who's the worst character? Like who's everybody hate more? Is it Crow? Is it Cronus? Is it Aridin? Is it like, you know, all of that? People are going crazy with these polls, and someone was like, oh, so the Homestuck fandom is willing to forgive racism, but not this. And it's like, I think that's really not what is happening here. And it's stuff like that where it's just like, oh, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt, but you saying that made me think of the meme from Community.
I was about to
You forgive
racism?
Yeah. Hey, remember when that show was good for a little bit? Anyway, opinions, baby.
They're coming back soon with the movie. Like they said that they started shooting like last month, so it's on the horizon. Yeah.
I've got a weird Homestuck story about like it's like tangentially related to this Community reference right now. So back in the old I guess early Homestuck days, and like pre-Homestuck 2, or it was like that like middle era where things were kind of nice for a little bit. Homestuck had ended, you know, people were hopeful still. They did like a live PGen pod, Perfectly Generic podcast show, where I lived at the time in SoCal, and recorded it at a bar. And so a lot of people were coming and going into like my home that I had never really met before, because it just became like the de facto place to hang out. And I'm like, cool. Hello, Austin Vastair, who I've never met before today. You are in my house. That's cool. Like, I didn't invite you, but you know, like whatever, you know, it was fine. And people was like, oh, is it cool if I bring like Austin? And it's like, cool. Yeah. So we went out to eat at this place in Burbank, California. It's a nightmare zone. But that's where work is. So everyone lives there. Yeah. There's this restaurant called Moana, and it's Hawaiian barbecue. And so it used to be the cheapest place to go and just get a like quick bite to eat. And So it's like, oh, I'm gonna take you to this place that's really cheap. That my favorite kind of food, cheap food. And so I'm there with like Austin from Vast Air, just a handful of other people. Like it's like Aisha's like Pip was there. It was like a bunch of like that group of people who like I didn't really know very well, and this was their first time in like in Southern California and like in Burbank or like Hollywood adjacent at all. And they're like, oh, do you ever see like famous people here? Which is the first thing that anyone from out of state like asks. Like I was born in Los Angeles, so none of this stuff really phases me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, not really. I'm like, I guess it depends on your like what you think is famous. And it's like, oh, like I don't know, it's just because you live so close to like the studios. And like as we're talking about this, outside the restaurant, like you can see it's Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon.
Damn.
Oh.
Dan Harmon, the creator of Community, and Justin Roiland, Rick and Morty fame. Like just walking by, and I'm like, I mean, I guess sometimes you see some famous people like those guys right there, and it was I don't know, it was just fortuitous timing, and it's only tangentially related because it's Vast Error. So there you go.
That's great. Yeah.
It was such a weird like, oh yeah, I guess so.
I guess.
I like that even as someone who is famous, there's still like the oh shit, other famous people actually exist in the real world.
Oh, I'm just a person. I'm not a famous. That is never a thing that I will admit to.
That you're well known enough to be famous.
I don't even have a Wikipedia
well known.
page.
All right, we'll get to work then.
I went and checked.
More people know you than they know me, and I have a Know Your Meme page, so I would say you're famous.
Oh wait, what?
Speaking of certain levels of stuff, it leads kind of directly into the next question. I'll read this one out. If you weren't a musician, or I guess a writer now, what would you be doing?
Oh man, this is actually pretty simple. There's a point in my life in my like I would say like 19, so well, I don't. It was
A while ago.
That was
Sorry.
that was 20 years ago.
Yeah, monk.
If you guys don't know, I am middle aged. I just turned 39.
Holy shit!
Like that's not when I say like I'm an old. That's not a joke. I'm not being. That's just a fact. I'm just fucking old. I've just been around a long time.
Quite literally could be my father.
Ugh.
You walk to the computer where like the Beyond Canon team is talking with the cane in hand. They're like, "Hey man, where you been all day? We were trying to work on this." He was like, "Oh man, I had to get my dentures, man."
Jokes aside, I do have to walk with a cane because I am like I'm disabled. So like I'm just like,
I'm so sorry.
Oh no, I'm not worried about it. I mean like the picture of like an old man like, no, my teeth. Yeah, man. That's how it is.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about it until like 2, maybe 3 hours ago, but to my knowledge, I was the oldest person in the server until you arrived in the server.
Yeah.
It's just.
Oh boy.
Wow.
So close. I'm 70 years old. Just kidding.
What would you be doing?
So yeah, when I was a teenager, I was apprenticing to be a baker. And that's what I wanted to. It's like I
Getting
had
that bread.
Yeah, I had a choice to make, and I thought, you know what? I think being a musician seems like the more lucrative situation. Nope. It's so the worst thing about getting old is that everything your parents tell you ends up being true, and you're like, fuck. It's like, oh, they're like, you're not gonna make any money, and I'm like, I'll show you. I didn't show them at all.
That's so unfortunate.
Damn.
They were right. Because then it's like, were they right about everything else too? Oh no. I really hope not. Anyway, next question.
All right. Question 11. How did you discover Homestuck?
That one's pretty easy too. I was reading another bad webcomic called VG Cats, which sucks. I went back and read it. When you guys get old, eventually, when the crippling march of time overtakes your life as well, don't go back and look at things that you liked when you were a teenager because they suck. It's like, man, I had dog shit taste. This is really bad.
Literally. I can barely look back at stuff from like 3 years ago that I liked.
Yeah, that's gonna happen to you every 5 years. Like for the rest of your life, you're gonna look back and be like, "What was I thinking? This sucks."
On
Literally.
the topic of kind of shitty webcomics, did you ever read Two Kinds?
Ooh, yeah.
Side question within side question. I'm really sorry. Have you ever seen Lackadaisy? Question mark?
Yeah, a good friend of mine voices character in the animated. I think I know
Holy
people who work
shit.
on the animated series too.
I've actually not watched that.
It's amazing, yeah.
I loved the comic of back. God, I feel like I can't say anything about this because I work on like Hiveswap and like Homestuck. So being like, I liked it 10 years ago. Oh, what was that? Like 4 updates ago? Okay, all right. I used to love Lackadaisy. Used to read it, every time. I think I would just forget about it for a year and then go and read like the last like 6 updates or whatever they did.
Yeah.
And then the animated thing where it was just like, oh, this is for theater kids for sure.
Damn.
Not to disparage it. I was very involved in musical theater at a point. No longer. But yeah, it's like, oh, whew, okay. It sits almost similarly in a place like the like Has Been and stuff sits where it's like, this is for a different kind of person than me. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to love Lackadaisy. So, sorry to get back to the question. I was reading this comic, VG Cats, and there was an advertisement for, back then, Problem Sleuth, just on MSPA Ventures. And it's like, I actually recognized the art and stuff from an old forum I used to go to, different webcomic, Penny Arcade. It was slim pickings back in the day. Forgive me. Penny Arcade is another one of those things where it's like, don't go back and read it. It was bad. Gamer comics. But there used to be a forum on there that Andrew would post, and I'm like, oh, that's the guy from the forums that would do those, like, they did, like, those weird comics. And it's like, well, I guess he's doing a webcomic now. Neat. I'll give one of those to anybody. And so I went and I read Problem Sleuth, and I loved Problem Sleuth, and I was a day oneer for Homestuck, or even like Smooth John Homestuck, which came out on the 10th, and it was in Flash, and I'm like, he's never going to be able to keep this up.
Oh, the Homestuck beta, yeah, that shit was...
I remember when it came out, and I was just thinking, like, yeah, there's no way he's going to do this whole thing in Flash. Glad that's over. And then, yeah, when it came out normal, I was like, see, I told you. To whatever shitty friends I talked to at the time. I was like,
I guess another side question within a side question.
Sure.
Did any of your submissions, because I know that a lot of earlier Homestuck was made by forum suggestions. Did any of your forum suggestions ever make it into the comic?
I remember I used to use one word on the forums, or I don't remember if it was in the forums or if it was in like a message to somebody. But I said the word chuckle fuck, and I think that made it into the comic.
I'm pretty sure it did.
Yeah. Calborn probably said it. Yeah.
Or it was that, and then like, I think I said, "Who's this douchebag?" at some point. But also, like, it's really one that was a million years ago, and it's just like that sort of thing. It's just like, that's just kind of how we talked. That's why all the Gen Zers fucking hate us. All the alphas think the millennials are dog shit. It's true, we are. We're really bad.
The humor from back then was so much different than what's going on these days.
It's so like I didn't like it then, and I hated when people would post like a GIF and be like this, and I'm like, God, you suck.
Right.
You sir win the internet for today. Like I did a little bow with my hands, like you know, like it.
I 100% know the feeling.
So another question, right? That we have for the Google Doc, and I'm gonna cross-reference something real quick. The original, Homestuck 2 team said that they had their vision for like for the comic, whatever outline they had. They saw that going for years, like years and years and years on end. So the question now stands: how long could we expect Beyond Canon to be? As it stands.
I was thinking about this, and it's like there's a whole thing we haven't like even gotten to. I feel like we've been kind of hinting at not even hinting, just spelling out that there's going to be a session, with the Del Tritons, and we're not even like, and man, that stuff is like a bit like So I don't know. I mean, how long is it going to go until it ends?
Yeah.
It's like we have it all blocked out, and like planned out, and like and the story beats. It is like a.
So it's gonna last as long as it takes to finish.
Yeah, I want to say that it's like again, it's like a 3-act narrative, and we're coming up on the end of Act 1. But I would say that what we've done so far is like just kind of scratching the surface, because there's a lot of things that are just without spoiling it, and it's like I feel like there's probably a fair share of people who are like, I don't care about Beyond Canon, which is fine. You don't have to. Like I feel like I'm never going to be the kind of person that's like, you don't like what I make? Well, it's like, you don't like it, don't read it. Like, that's fine. Yeah. I don't like what you make. No, I'm kidding. I probably love it. Oh, man. Oh, jeez. But, like, it's going to be pretty long. There's a lot to get through, and there's a lot of really cool ideas, and actually it takes a really long time to make this shit. Jesus. We're working on a Flash, and it's like, and like an interactable thing, and it's like, wow, a lot goes into these, and so much of it is like, man, like Andrew did this all by himself, and it's like, I guess he didn't. He did have an art team and a music team. It's like, okay, but he did it all for free, which is crazy. I have a hard time asking anybody to do anything for free because I don't want to do it myself for free.
Like, yeah.
Art and comics and just media like this used to just be so wild back in the day because people would just fucking do it. And
things used to cost a lot less too.
I wouldn't do that stuff for free.
Yeah.
I guess this would also lead into a later question. What is it? Question 19. I'm gonna kind of tangentially like put this right here. The original Homestuck 2 team was also given a outline for like whatever type of plot that they had originally.
Oh yeah, we scrapped it.
You scrapped it? Okay, yeah. Okay.
There's like a lot. We took 2 ideas that were kind of like the major story beats of like what's supposed to happen. Where it's like, like the I guess the outline of it, we kept elements of it, but we changed a lot of like the detail, like we kind of just rewrote. I don't want to say fixed it because it's just like there was just a lot of like things in it that were just like, we're not tied to that anymore. We can kind of do whatever with this. So it's like while we resolve these old story beats from like, and a lot of people are like, why don't you just retcon it? It's like, well, because then that would suck. It would not be a cohesive read. It's like we'll resolve it in universe slowly. And I think that a lot of people who suggest things like that are not used to a comic coming out a little bit at a time. They're archival readers, and this is like, oh yeah, a lot of people have this sort of impatience with the story because they weren't there where they had to wait 2 years for a thing to happen. You know, it's like
back in my day, back in 2016.
Back in 2009, we had to wait 17 years.
Would we ever see? I guess just maybe as a Patreon thing, if there's an art book to ever come out, would the original outline ever be released as just like a little, like, I guess, blurb or fun fact, like this is what Beyond Canon was supposed to be?
Maybe? Probably not. I don't know, like, I feel like it's because it's other people's writing. Like, that was one of the big reasons for it too. It wasn't just because of, like, it wasn't like entirely just like we hated that dog shit and we fucking threw it in the river. I couldn't think of but I couldn't think of it. Like, yeah, it wasn't like that entirely. It was just like other people wrote this who aren't here, and I don't want to use other people's work without like crediting and all of that. And it's just like, and I think that we like can take the good parts of this, or rather the main sort of outline from Andrew and how things resolve, and like just make it work. Like we can make it work. It's like we're not fixing it. We're just making it work now. Which I guess is how you would define fixing something. Yeah. So there's maybe you'll see like in like writer's commentary or something like, oh, originally this was supposed to be this. I think there's some of that in there now where it's just like, oh yeah, originally this was supposed to happen, but we decided this was kind of better. Is one kind of retcon that I am going forward with, and I'm comfortable talking about it, where it's like, especially with how things are going in the world right now, I feel like a very anemic, sort of poorly thought out war allegory was like in really bad taste. So we've kind of changed the wording around it, and like there was this idea of like Jane's like bombing houses and shit like that, and it's just like maybe now's not the time to write like this is really in poor taste right now. And it's like, well, it wasn't in great taste then either. So I don't know if like anyone has noticed, but the wording on things has changed substantially, but there is still a conflict there. It's just we're kind of like, I was like, no, we're not doing that. That's
Question 13.
Would you tweet that, Ben? Ben hasn't gotten it in a little bit.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Yeah, sure. Question 13. Have you played Undertale or Omori? What are your thoughts on those?
I don't. Sorry, hold on. Oh fuck. So I was in the document. You can see me typing a bunch. I don't know what Undertale is. No. I loved Undertale. I helped test it for Toby. Toby and I have been close for like, he's like a brother to me. He's one of the kindest, like nicest people in the world. Would not be here today without him. Just I don't know. I've got so many nice things to say about Toby, and it's always weird to see. There's some like weird narrative where people are like, James doesn't like Toby. I'm like, Toby's like my favorite person alive. What are you talking about? I'm so proud of him. Like, he's just I've known him since he was like a weird little teenager that I actually didn't like then. No, just that's just like, who's this little shithead who keeps no. He's just like a weird, funny guy who would ask me stuff about music, and we would talk about it. And we got really close, like over the course of the last decade plus. He stayed at my house. He's met my family. I broke the test version of Undertale in a way that he didn't foresee happening because I was so bad at it. That he had to change it. That he made specifically for the Metaton fight so much easier because I couldn't beat it, and so he had to he's like, you're like the lowest common denominator, I guess. And I'm like, thank you. So it originally was like way harder. There's a part in Snowden where like I think if like Sans captures you, you go to jail, right? Like it's been a long time since I've played it, and I broke the game in a way that like I don't know what I did or like what inputs I did, where like you get put in jail and like the dialogue is supposed to continue from there, but in the old like playtest version, which is still on my external hard drive in a folder called Toby's Game. It broke, and I thought that was part of like the game. I thought that was the joke that Toby was making, is that they leave you in jail and you just have to wait for like 20 minutes. And so I'm just sitting there on this screen like, okay, well, any minute now.
Funny joke.
I'm like,
Must be the game.
yeah, I'm like,
I mean,
you're supposed to wait in this jail scene. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh, I think I broke it.
It definitely does sound very Toby like. I'll say that he is.
Yeah. It's like it seemed like that was just the joke, because there were other things too. Where early on he was talking about like if you tried to cheat, it would make you like listen to a song, and then I don't think that made it in it. So because I think people found the data mining stuff anyway. And then for Omori, I'm on the soundtrack for Omori, and I've never played it.
Really? That's cool.
I mean, that's fair, given how depressing the game is.
They were gonna send me a copy of it, and they never did. And so I was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna pay for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
Alright. Question 14. Are we ready to move on?
Yeah.
Sure.
Alright, question 14. Are the trolls still alive in Hiveswap Act 3?
I mean, many of them.
That's good.
Yes.
I love how ominous that is.
Many of them.
They're still on Alternia. So there's gotta be some trolls in there, right?
Really?
Oh man, the Act 3 stuff. So I will just say, like, Act 3 is still in active production. There was a hiatus in production for a while, but like I mean, there's a meeting happening right now that I am not at because I am here.
Oh, thank you.
That's more like an artist meeting. I feel like my role in Act 3 is like they just kind of let me do whatever I want. So I'm like a weird like ghoul at the What Pumpkin Productions, where I'm just there in like I'm in like 9 different servers for different things. There's like the SawCon, like Bridge, like, you know, there's like all of these different initiatives that now I'm like a part, like the de facto leader of on a lot of these things. It's like, oh yeah, take point on the SawCon stuff. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. I went to music school. I don't know numbers. I'm so sorry. But yeah, Hiveswap Act 3 is in development. It's crazy. It's certainly more locations than the last one. You know, it's not all on one train with one Ace Attorney reference. It's you go a lot of places, do a lot of things. It's cool. I've written a lot of music for it. Toby's written like I think a couple, like 1 or 2 songs in this one. Clark Powell is back. I think I'm mostly done with the music. It's just like I'm waiting to like a lot of the time I get ahead of myself and write a bunch of songs for it, and then it's like, oh, we need to go back and like refine this a little bit because now we know more about this. I think it's done, like the writing. It's just a matter of like assets and programming, which is, you know, I don't know anything about that, so I can't really like give any cool details, but it's happening. So
that's fair.
They're working on it.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything to do. Like, you know, I just write the little songs.
Where are we at now?
We are on
yeah,
question 15. Who is asking that one?
Fandom?
I'll just go ahead and ask it. Oh, I don't know this character. How to pronounce this character's name? Do you like Damon?
Yeah.
Damon.
Oh, yeah, and I think in the doc it's misspelled because his name is Demon.
Oops. My bad. That
Or
was
Hot
my
Dog
fault.
Troll.
Sorry, I had no idea who that was talking about while I was going through and making sure it was legible, so I just left it as is.
Oh yeah, don't worry about it. Hot Dog Troll is funny. Yeah, I guess I like them.
Oh, David, yeah.
Funny little weirdo.
Troll.
That was like old Hiveswap stuff. That was one of the first characters like concepted and went through a lot of changes in design. Shout out to Phil Poinko Gibson for that design there. Very good. Wonder what that guy's up to. But there was an old producer from the New York team named James Sital, and as part of like an initiative to get everybody to like, the New York team was weird because it was all just like games people, and I don't know if you've ever met tech people. They're weird. And not a lot of them knew a lot about Homestuck, and it is like a complicated scenario that, like, you know, we ended up there through a series of decisions that weren't made by me, so I have no comment on them. But I remember being at the office, and she's like, "Oh yeah, so we all basically have like a troll that we like. We get to pick like some design elements and you know, and like a little like personality thing about them." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So they gave me one. His name was Busker, who didn't make it into the, you know, like didn't make it through the purge. But Hot Dog Troll, or codename Hot Dog, Demon made it through, but was very, very different. And that was James Sital's like little guy that he liked. And he was just like, yeah, he just likes hot dogs. And so that stayed in after he was long gone. It's just funny because hot dog was 6 letters. So that's how it worked out.
Was it spelled differently, like with an E a little bit, like hot?
Nope, it was just the word hot dog for the longest time.
I love that so much.
Yeah, and it's like, what's his deal? He's got a hot dog. Oh, okay. His horns are shaped like hot dog. That's what Homestuck needs to be. Oh shit.
Homestuck needs to be a hot dog.
It just needs to be stupid, gimmicky little like it's. This,
like, stupid.
I've talked about this with the. Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, like, stupid gimmicks, but like in a tasteful way. Like how stupid gimmicky it was, like way back in 2010 or whatever, but not with the offensive humor.
Yeah.
I was talking to one of the other writers, and the very first person I picked to work on this project with me, Haven. Vintage Foods or Mr. Foods, a lot of places. Haven is just one of the funniest people I know, and incredible artist, and just like one of the like, just crazy stylish style, and just like, wow, cool guy. And like we were talking about it, and it's like Homestuck used to be so stupid, and then it changed at a point, and not like necessarily for the worst, but just like you can't. It's like when it was addressed that what was happening to the characters was bad from their perspective, everything changes so much where it's like, oh, what bro was doing to Dave was abusive and terrible. But when it's happening in like Act 2 or whatever, you're not really thinking about that. You're just thinking like, haha, Ninja Man fights him on the roof, you know, like. And then it's like, oh, Dave didn't like that. And it's like, oh, shit. Yeah. So, like, you have to recontextualize all of these terrible things that have been happening to these characters in a way. And it's like, I kind of miss before any of that happened, where it was just like stupid, gimmicky things. And it's like, we need to be able to bring some of that back, but still with the responsibility of, like, these characters or characters that people love. We can't just make them bad, you know what I mean? It's like, so it's like there's, without without conflict, there can't be any resolution. So there's a lot of people who are like, you said you would take care of the characters. Why did you do this to them? It's like, well, due to the linear nature in which stories are told, you will have to wait and experience that as it as it unfolds. It's like, yeah, it's not like, oh, we did this to this character. Comics done now. Yep, they're that way forever. It's like, oh, we're gonna have to see how that goes. So
Yeah.
I again, it's like I appreciate the patience and like trust that so many people have given me, and I do see like the pushback because I read my mentions, like, you know, people send me DMs all the time of like, for every like bad take that you see, I've gotten 6 DMs about it every couple of hours. So like,
Oh god.
To rewind back to people who are like reading Homestuck archived and are just not like wanting to read Homestuck beyond canon as it comes out. Some people are just so used to it already all being out that they don't want to wait to see the characters develop because they're just so used to being able to read it all at once.
yeah, and I think that's fine too. If you want to wait until there's more out to like give it, like, I have a friend who watches anime that way, and it drives me insane. But it's their choice, you know. My you know what? You guys know, my good friend ProZD Sungwon Show will wait until an anime is over and then watch all of it at once. And I'm like, please just watch it week to week. I am begging you. I want to talk about this episode. And it's like, I'll wait and I'll watch it all when it's done. I'm like, I'm gonna get you.
I can't say much. I've been on both sides.
You know what? My friends and I have been watching the Fallout show, which is surprisingly good.
Ooh.
Especially for like a video game adaptation. And I have no like strong ties to Fallout. I played like the first one, like the top down one, a billion years ago. And so like, but we've been watching it, like we'll watch one episode every couple of days, and it feels nice to like, oh yeah, because you let it sink in, and it's like, yeah, the whole show is out, and sure, there's spoilers and stuff online. Maybe we'll get spoiled for it, but it's like, you know what? It's cool to just experience something slowly. And I get how self-serving that is. It's like, it's actually very cool to read Homestuck updates once a month. Actually, it's like, I get it. You know, there's certain things where it's like, sometimes if I like the first episode of an anime and that's all that's out, I'll go and I'll read the entire manga like that night. So like, I get it. I'm not above, you know, wanting more. But yeah, I'm glad that everyone has the patience to like. Well, most people have the patience. Every time we do anything to a character that it's like, yeah, no, I get it. Please look forward to. Please wait.
Yeah.
Please.
Not every character is gonna get like the happiest ending, but they're gonna get the ending that works best for that character.
Yeah.
We're nearing.
I want some of them to be sad. No, I'm just kidding.
We're nearing the couple, I guess, last 3.
Sure.
If you want to ask I forget if it was Odessa or Finn that wants to read wants to read the 16th.
Val can read it. Yeah, you go ahead,
So,
Val.
This very likely has nothing to do with Homestuck. It's more just as a music thing. So, as someone with a career in music, among many other things, what's your opinion on Chris Cornell and his contributions to just music as a whole? Like, has that affected your career as a musician?
Well, I mean, I really liked, Audioslave, and I was listening to Black Hole Sun the other day, actually. I'm getting that right? Chris Cornell.
Yeah, Audioslave,
okay.
Yeah.
Soundgarden,
yeah, okay.
Dog.
Yeah, and I feel like one of the greatest, like rock vocalists of like maybe all time. Just it's very, very good. And it's like, I don't know that I would say that they're like his career really had like a huge impact on. I mean, it did on me as a teen, just like listening to songs, but it's
Right,
like
because that was in your era, you were a teenager when
Yeah.
that stuff was coming out.
Yes. But I remember being very sad to hear about his passing.
Right.
That was like in mid
Early
like
2017.
2015. Yeah. I feel like any sort of, I don't know, having struggled with depression and sort of like suicide ideation myself, like at different times in my life, it happens, you know. And the way that my therapist has framed it for me has been that, you know, a lot of people have thoughts like this, and it's you know, not, you don't want to act on them, obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
But thinking about it, it's like, yeah, you know, there have been times where it's just like, I feel like it's so unfortunate to have to think of someone in the context of what was their impact like after they've passed because of, you know, stuff like that. And it's like, that's really,
Yeah.
I guess that had more of like an impact on me than like, which is, I think is really unfortunate to like say even about somebody.
It really is. I don't like to think of his impact about dying, and just, I like to think that he was extremely influential because of what he did with music itself.
Yeah.
Because he has such a wide and varied career. It has influenced many modern artists, and it's just, as a musician, I wanted to see if he had any impact on you creating.
Oh, I would say that like it's like one of those things, like the impact of someone like that who was so influential to so many other artists as well is kind of hard to quantize. Similarly to like, you know, recently Akira Toriyama passed away, or it's just like it's hard to really describe how many things were influenced by this person that then went on to influence other people. It's like this sort of like waterfall, like domino effect of influence.
Right.
And music is another one of those things, because it's like we're constantly borrowing from each other all the time. You hear something and you're like, I want to do that, and then you do it, you know, it's that kind of thing. So it's a little difficult to even really say. I would say that not personally would I, am I like listening to like, I don't know, that's not true, because I do use that like warbly guitar that he would do. Well, yeah. So I mean, it's hard to really say. I feel like I don't have the authority to speak on it, even like, because I'm just some fucking guy. But
who isn't just some fucking guy? I'm just some nobody
True.
asking you questions about my favorite musician, because why not?
sure. We're getting into hyperfixation territory, I see.
Oh, yes.
Speaking of which, yeah,
Those conversations. Yeah, so I mean, I would say that, I guess, yes, they've been influential in at least some indirect way, and maybe even some direct ways, because yeah, that is kind of stuff that I was listening to back then. Originally, I thought you were talking about Charles Cornell, the piano YouTuber guy. Because I just misread it because of dyslexia.
Fair.
But I was like, the guy who's like, Mario theme is more complicated than you think. And I'm like, I actually really like that guy's videos because he talks about music theory in a way that's really easy to digest.
Ooh.
I just think that the clickbaity stuff is like so like, okay, you got me, I'll clown. All
I'll
right.
have to check his content out then.
It's just a guy with a piano that has, he's got perfect pitch, but he'll be like, now here's why the Transformers theme is so weird. And it's like, huh, it was really weird, you know, like
Does he have like a buzz cut?
Yes. Yeah, I think he's got kind of like a, I think it's a side part. It's very
I think I've seen his videos. It's definitely easier to digest, like you said.
It's just a blonde white guy.
Oh yeah.
You mentioned a little bit
videos
earlier that we were moving into fixation territory, right? And these two questions, these are most definitely, these are very Kelly selfish questions. I myself, I'm a very big fighting game person. I love fighting games, most definitely. And I was really into Smash Brothers for a long time, right? And as someone, as someone who I guess now works on Homestuck, if Masahiro Sakurai just approached you, you know, like hand on shoulder and was like, you know what, I want you to design John Egbert in Smash Brothers, right? What would we be looking at for like a like a reveal trailer, a stage, the music, maybe even like a spirit board. And I guess outside of that question, when Ultimate was still getting DLC, who was your most wanted?
Okay. Actually, I didn't play. So, someone I know used to be a Smash commentator, for just FGC stuff, which is fighting game community. Some of the friendliest people online, who beat your ass regularly. It's wow, you guys are really nice. Very inclusive community as well. I never got super into Smash because I found people who I'm really sorry I'm about to say this.
You're good.
Please take this with a grain of salt. People get really annoying to me. I get annoyed very easily. Though I may not show it. And Smash people in particular tend to be kind of annoying, but not in because they're bad people, because they don't know how to say the word melee. And if you say the word melee to me, I will make fun of you. I will laugh at you. I don't care if you are you could be the most delightful person in the world. If you say this French word wrong to me, I just it's not even an English word. And there's just a certain personality type that says the word melee for some reason, and then will fight you about it. And no, it's a real word. It's a real word. The word is melee. It's a real word that is used to it means to fight. It's a real word. Words have meaning, and so I'll get really worked up about that, and because of that, I never got too much into Smash, which is the pettiest reason to not be into something.
Well, that's fair, yeah, 100%.
It's totally fair because the word still gets mispronounced to this day.
And so what'll happen is I have an acquaintance who is very annoying about this, and it's well, that's what he says in the intro, and he doesn't though. He says the word melee because he's not a fucking moron.
Yeah, he doesn't say melee.
I find myself getting mad about it. And it's if you listen to it, it's this could be construed as them saying melee because it's a poor audio recording and he's yelling, Smash Brothers. It sounds like shit. So yeah, it's okay, fine. But it's a real word. So if it's is he saying the real word that means to fight, or is he saying a made-up word that doesn't mean anything? I wonder which one it is.
Right.
I'm gonna go with the one that doesn't mean anything.
This one's a real toughie.
Yeah, I'm gonna die on that hill. I'm I hate you. I hope.
Please die on the hill.
Personally, I don't see how people could just willingly mispronounce the word. But I was also bullied by my mother and stepfather while playing Left 4 Dead about saying.
I love Left 4 Dead. Sorry.
No, you're fine. It's just I.
What were you saying wrong?
I was saying melee, but I was also a very small child, and then I got bullied into saying the right word. So it's
yeah,
I'm an outlier,
good.
But it's
no, I'm just.
It's still a very. It's still a real word, and if you Google it, it tells you how to say it.
So
it's one of those things where it's it's actually not that important and I don't get that mad about it. But when someone has a grating personality and they do that, I make it about that instead of their weird personality.
That's fine.
For instance, if you're Southern, I'm sorry, I'm about to offend you.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah, me.
Uh-oh.
Now imagine you were a candy person. You make candy for a living. And
okay.
You've discovered this sort of peanut butter chocolatey confection and you've put it in a cup. And you're that's cool. Your name is Reese. And so what would you say if you were to make some peanut butter cups? what would you call? I would say that those are called Reese's peanut butter
Yeah.
cups. But no, if you live in the South,
Oh
for
my
whatever
God.
reason, you say Reese's, which doesn't make.
It's
I do say Reese's.
I say Reese's.
because
Yeah,
it's a
because
real word.
it's Reese's. Reese made them. They're
I am from the
cups.
South though, so
It's. Now,
But
for
that's
me-
not even the most heinous version of that, because Reese's peanut butter cups. You know what? Reese's peanut butter cups. Okay. But what about
I mean,
Reese's?
personally, it's because I pick up the
Reese's.
accents of the people around me. So I do say Reese's.
Now imagine you have this delectable peanut butter cup, and you're like, you know what? I want to make them smaller. I would like to make them into smaller pieces.
Reese's Pieces.
I would say that those are then, therefore, Reese's Pieces. Alas, if you live in the South,
Reese's Pieces.
Reese's Pieces. What is a piece?
Okay,
Say anything now.
I am guilty of calling it Reese's Pieces.
I am too. Yeah, I'm not Southern, but yeah, it's
It's like with the, forgive me for saying this word intentionally wrong. Peckin, you know the nut.
Again.
With how Southerners all say it differently, and it's like no one can agree on the right way to say it.
Well, yeah. How are you supposed to?
Econ.
do it?
Because of that, I just go out of my way to say it as wrong as possible. Sometimes I'll say "pissin."
I say a lot of words wrong, so it's okay. It's like this is one of those things that I actually don't like. I'm not actually pressed about it. It's fun to get angry about something that doesn't matter,
Right.
because there's so many real things that make you angry that it's just like, let's get mad about whose
Let's have
pieces
a
now?
little argument about something random. Yeah.
So it took me a very long time. Like I'm a grown ass man, and I still struggle like with specifically sometimes. Like that shit is.
Oh my god. I had to record a line with that word. I about threw my computer.
I didn't know how to spell tomorrow until like last year.
I remember once
Someone
I like
corrected me. I was like, oh shit.
once I spent like 5 minutes trying to like remember how to spell sideways because I just forgot. I don't know why.
It's just like that.
That's another thing about doing like Homestuck dubs. I guess like this is one of my more recent or more heavy voice actor projects, and I do Gamzee, right? So it's very hard, I guess, just to do a lot of the voices, or to do Gamzee in particular, because it's like he'll use a lot of different words that are just maybe hard to pronounce, and then added with his added typing quirk, I have to in real time kind of do that along with the voice, which is like it's not hard or frustrating, but it still trips me up like a lot. And a lot of the final audio recordings I end up having are like 50 minutes long, and I have to cut it down to like 20 because it's like me just like fucking up so many times. So
And I have a lot of respect for Homestuck voice actors, because there's like it's there's a lot of like established voices from like back in the day that people just kind of default to. So it's like, oh, coming up with new stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah.
On that topic,
Thank you.
is there a way, like a specific character that you know is supposed to sound a very specific way, but everyone envisions them completely wrong? Because like as a writer, you do have say in how they're supposed to sound. It's just like
That's a lot of it's like name pronunciations. Andrew said Aradia, and I'm like, that's stupid. It's fucking
that
wrong.
sucks.
I'm just gonna
Actually,
change that.
As someone who has been interacting with Homestuck for over a decade, I remember people arguing about the ways to say the names specifically.
There's also, Arania, which is the Spanish word for spider, and everyone says Arania, Aranea, Arania. It's spelled differently, but like
I actually did not know that.
I didn't know that either. Yeah.
it's just the Spanish
That's
word for
fine.
spider. But that's just my interpretation of it, because it's like, well, that's what the word is. It's probably Arania. I never asked about that one because I didn't care.
I wonder why.
But yeah, I remember it was in Shelby Craig's apartment. and I was like, "Hey, it's Aradia, right?" And he's like, "Well, I've always thought it was Aradia." I'm like, "Oh, that's really stupid." So I'm just gonna pretend that that's not real.
I'm gonna pretend you never said that.
And then I changed it.
While I do think Aradia is kind of stupid, I like that Raid is in the name because she's very like Indiana Jones-esque, I guess.
Oh, I think it's also just another. It's just a word.
Yeah.
I think it's like a.
What's a word if not some made-up human construct?
I guess so. I mean, that's the thing is like, language evolves and changes, so they can say melee if they want. Let them say melee. It's fine.
Is it really though? Is it really?
Okay, no,
really
that's not fine because that's a real word. We're talking about words that were made up for a comic by some guy on the internet.
That's true.
Readers just are mispronouncing or just deciding on pronunciations.
Yeah. I think that about wraps it up for the Q&A.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming out. We had a very fun time asking a lot. It was amazing to really speak to you. Personally, I know like on your end it might not seem.
We can take a couple questions from the chat if you guys want. I'm not doing anything.
Oh
well, yeah. Okay.
Let me
all right.
my stream recording really quick just so it's visible.
Oh, wait, ask El's questions. we're raise hand. You can't raise hands, but we can just pick some random question. I don't know.
Okay.
Big age.
Herbie,
Oh,
no.
this one's huge.
Thoughts?
Can you kiss me? No.
Big age.
It's easy. Yo, this question shit easy as fuck.
What the
Damn.
And the PFAs?
Opinions on Caliborn.
Yeah, do you like Caliborn?
I didn't for a long time, but it's one of those things where it's like, they came around, stupid little asshole.
He'll grow on you.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like it's an interesting sort of like how media comprehension and literacy has changed over the last like 20 years or so, where you can like a character that's a bad person but a good character, and that doesn't make you bad for liking them or condoning what they do in real life. But I feel like there's like, at the same time, I understand that things don't happen in a bubble. So you can't just be like, I like that this happened. It's like, no, that makes you weird. I think if you like a character and you're not a weirdo, it's very easy to just be like, I like this character. They did some bad things. A classic example of this being Vriska, where people are like, Vriska did nothing. No, Vriska did a lot of things really wrong, and that's what makes her a compelling character, is that context of her doing a lot of things wrong and making mistakes. A lot of them, actually. And, and then we're seeing how that character develops with that. So, like, do I like Caliborn? Yeah. Caliborn's a real shitter. But they say some funny things that are terrible,
Yeah.
Question that seems fairly popular. What are your thoughts on Lord English coming back from Ultimate Dirk, because there are Dirk splinters connected to Lord English, i.e. Arqueus and Bro?
So interesting. What a question.
That answers that. No need to go further.
There's hints of some stuff. I guess we'll see.
There's a lot of questions in here.
There's just on the topic of stuff like this. It's so funny, and we talk about this on the team all the time, where it's like, we will spell things out and no one will see it. But then it's like, we changed like how many stripes are on a character's sock, and they make a whole web page about it where you can slide it and be like, here's the difference in the panels. And it's
I saw that.
That's crazy.
Does this mean something?
When you updated
what does it mean?
Design,
and it's like,
there's
mysteries there for you to look at.
Their hair changed position slightly. Is this new lore?
So okay. So my question
what did they mean by this?
Is Kanaya's like design changing in those panels that were changed? Were those done for like some sort of like actual reason, or was it just because you
Just
didn't
look
want
better.
like those to? Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
A lot of the old panel edits is our art director Kim changing their own old art because they got better at drawing, and that character is a little more fleshed out now.
Yeah.
Old Yiffy, the dumbest name in the world.
Yeah. How?
We'll just wait and see. We're getting there. But imagine, if you will, here's a context for that. The stupidest fucking name. I was in a bar with Andrew, and Andrew's like, "Let me show you this character from the epilogues." And I'm like, "Okay." And he's like, "Okay, do you remember Tiffany Longstocking?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it was like an old TV show. It was like a character from something. I think it was like a live action thing." He's like, "All right, check this out, Yiffany Longstocking." And I'm like, "That's really stupid, man." All right, like, okay.
It's probably like, perfect.
Print it. And it's like, there was no thought to it beyond that. So when people are like, "You named it after furry acts," and I'm like, no, it was just Tiffany Longstocking is a beloved character of American lore, I guess. I don't know. It's like, it's before my time even. Andrew's a little older than me. And so it's just a joke about that. And then it's like, oh yeah, I guess that's what I mean about, like, why would you name this sucks. It's just like, this is a stupid name.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate.
Do you think
But I feel like I've come up with context for it that makes it funny again. And so when you're going through Act 1 of Homestuck, if you've ever read Homestuck, which some of you have, I think, when they're naming John and they just start giving him stupid names, where it's like, oh, fucking Zoo Smell Poop Lord. And then you have to imagine, what if somebody just hand waved it and said, sure. And it's like, no, that's not, come on. Oh. So that
fell on the sleep on the keyboard.
There's a whole plan in there, and I think that this character, who we are calling Yiffy for now, is going to be, if they're not like, if the update that they were in didn't kind of flesh out their character in a way that is endearing, this is probably one of like my favorite characters to like see and write for, and like, oh, they're so funny. They're, oh man, what can I say that's like, I guess I'll say their Strife Specibus is really funny.
Really?
Let's not look too far into whatever that means. It's just, it's like, it's good. There's so many things that it's just like, ooh, their Classpects is cool. Like, we have to come up with all of that. It's like, they're a very good character, and I hope that once we get past the very stupid origin of this character in their dumb soap opera universe that they live in, we can like get into how good of a character this is. And I'm glad that people are coming, because I like when that update came out, like crawling through the vents and just like that, the way that the character talks is so funny. I don't know. I'm glad that some people are coming around on them. I hope everyone does eventually. But I will not pretend that the name is good. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Moving away
so
from
dumb.
this stupid name, we've got a lot of questions flying by, so I'm trying to keep track. What should be quick is several people actually asked, do you plan on staying in the server?
I mean, probably not. I'm sorry, and this is not like a personal thing. It's just like, I'm in like, oh my god, I'm in so many servers.
Assumed I would not.
Yeah.
So many servers. And like, just as like an adult in like a space for young people, I feel like it might be a little inappropriate for me to be here, because sometimes I just say things and forget.
Right.
Like I was telling the mods earlier, I used to be a teacher, so like, I know how to handle myself around kids. It's just like, as a grown adult, I kind of don't have a lot of interest in like hanging out with like a 14-year-old, like,
Yeah.
no,
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, that's a great
There,
thing.
yeah.
On to
Um,
another. We've got one person asking what your opinion on like Homestuck art trends are, like AUs, kinsonas, kidsonas, all that sort of thing.
I love like self-insert characters. I think that they're like the coolest part of any fandom. I love fan trolls. I love like kitsonas. People would like do their like fan consorts, which are kind of some of my favorite characters. Oh man, there's so many fucking cool things that we're doing. Okay. Anyway, we've mentioned the consort thing one time in Beyond Canon, sort of somewhere. And eventually you guys will see it and it'll come to like fruition, and I'm excited about that. Because people kind of forget about them. I love carapacian stuff. My Sona is a Dursite carapacian. We in the work chat we all made like here's our Sona, here's our guy. And me and Haven are carapacians. A lot of people pick trolls because it's fun. You'll see eventually all of the stuff that happens. I forgot the question, but let's say that the answer is yes.
Just like
No,
it was just like
personal
your
question.
opinion on fan works in general.
Oh shit, I love them.
Yeah.
Keep making them. I feel like the fandom and the fan community, and like that's what keeps it alive, and that's what allows us to like keep making it. Is like the passion and like all of that from like these little communities. It's just like, yeah, fucking hell yeah.
If we didn't have fan works going, I find it hard to believe that Homestuck 2 would even exist.
That's a big part of the big overarching plot of Beyond Canon is the importance. I wrote it into the Aradia route in Pestra Quest, where it's like, all the stuff where it's like all of these little things that. So, funny story about that is none of that was planned. This is just me like going crazy. It's like I was noticing all the things like, wow, how come Vriska doesn't have any lipstick? How come? Why is there a bed in Mom Lalonde's room, but there never was in the so it's like why does Karkat have these scythes that he doesn't have until Scrub? And it's like, oh shit. All right, I was gonna say that. All right, let's do this. And so like that's when like the story for Radia's. I don't know if you ever played Pestra Quest. It's they go and they fuck everything up. And so then taking that and then writing that into Homestuck 2 and Beyond Canon, it's like, haha, full circle, baby, do whatever I want.
Hell yeah.
So the importance of like fan works and fan interpretations and the way that fans see things, I think is an important part of the story of Homestuck. And it's a big plot point in Beyond Canon. And we'll get to that eventually. Where it's like, yeah.
I scrolled up some to look at questions. Somebody asked, are any OG Homestuck characters gonna come back in Beyond Canon?
Yeah, we saw Solock.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit! Yeah, that does count. Yeah,
My favorite guy.
I honestly love that. I have emojis of John just hovering over him in my personal server so I can use them wherever I want.
That's good. That man, we were gonna do some. Well, okay. Originally with that, I think it's in the writer's commentary. That update was very funny because I wrote that one originally. Then Haven went and fixed it up, and then when we got Floral on, because it was like, I specifically was like, we need, like, who's, because I didn't know Floral before this. I knew their work, but I didn't like know them personally, and I was like, that was like the first person that was like, we want them on. I'm like, okay, bring them. Good. They didn't know what the like protocol for writing stuff was yet, so they went in and just edited that update, like all of the Solock's dialogue to be like completely different than what it was originally. And it's like, oh wait, this still works. This works better. Actually, this is way this is much better than it was. And then Haven did another pass at it and like to kind of punch it up, and it's like, oh, work. But originally, in that scene where Solock like stares at John and then the doom symbol appears, he has this whole like monologue of like that spells out like the plot of the comic.
Oh my god.
Because he's doing his like whole like doom thing, and yeah. Oh, that's my class pick, by the way. I never answered that earlier. It was Seer of Doom.
Ooh.
That's what we got to.
Yeah, but another thing, right? I wanted to kind of ask
Sure.
earlier. Damn, didn't it? Oh, I wanted to mention earlier. There was two things that one I wanted to mention, one I wanted to question about. One thing I wanted to mention is that as a Patreon subscriber, I'm usually very like I love watching those come out live, and my personal thing, which is like why like I was so excited to do this interview, is I absolutely love looking at behind the scenes or like inside a creator's mind about, okay, this is something that I did and I thought that this is cool because this, and it was like, it's really cool, especially because you get to see that with one of your favorite pieces of media. So when I was reading through the Patreon like post for that update, when I saw the edit somebody made over like the guy in his room with like a Street Fighter 4 like a what is it, like hitbox, and he was like there with like his shirt off and his shorts off, and it was like an edit of Solock over that. I couldn't stop laughing. It was like the funniest shit in the world to me, dude.
Yeah, that was Haven. That was like the whole inspiration for how Solock is in that scene, that male living space, sort of like because it's like his Solock's girlfriend is like out of town and he's just like slumming it, just doing whatever. There's a guy who comes into my DMs very regularly to like argue with me about how Aradia and Solock are broken up, and I'm like, no, they're not. And I'm like, sometimes your partner just is doing something else besides
Long distance.
visibly being on screen with you. I don't know.
Yeah.
Standing under trees, like it's fine.
I guess the other question I wanted to ask was, I guess okay, you mentioned this in the live stream, because I was also there at the live stream when that happened on Port 13. You mentioned that a lot of stuff that you guys like is just looking at like fans' reception, or like questions, or it'd be like, oh, this should come back. Is this character coming back? And then you guys kind of sit there and be like, oh yeah, we're laughing up here because it's like you guys are saying a whole bunch of stuff that like we know about, and this is probably coming next update or whatever. Is it, I guess, frustrating, or does it get kind of redundant whenever like you have stuff like this, like a questionnaire, or you have like a live stream, and whenever you're like, okay, ask questions about this and this, a lot of them end up being just, hey, is this coming to Homestuck too? Will this happen? And like, obviously you can't
just having to be like, wait and see. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
Because
yeah,
I think this was like one of the first things I was talking about in the stream, where it's like, if it were up to me, I would just say everything. But the team specifically, it's not like I have higher up like command being like, don't spoil it. It's just like the team has worked so hard on it, and they're like, James, please don't go on a stream and say what it. And I was like, can we just like say what the classes do? And they're like, stop it. Like, can we just put it out? And they're like, stop it, James. And I'm like,
I would like to
spraying me with a bottle, shaking a can of coins.
my recording timer has just hit 1 hour and 57 minutes. This was
Oh my gosh.
longer than I assume anyone expected.
Yeah, we were on for 20 minutes.
I'm sorry.
This is wild.
Oh, don't apologize.
The episode
Yeah,
spreads over here.
We could take like a couple more and then end it if you guys are fine with it.
I was gonna say,
Someone-
I personally
wait,
need
can
to
I
go to
ask-
bed, so
Oh shit.
but I'm fine staying up. It's just like, this is going on for 2 hours. I don't want to keep you for a lot longer than already planned on. Might be to rein it in.
Yeah, we're gonna do here, yeah.
I mean, like, end right now. Just start reining it in. Finish things up.
Are there any big is there any big ominous
everybody's
more?
just asking about Ghost Rider body pillow. I don't know.
Ignore it. Ignore that.
Ignore it.
I've never thought about a body pillow in my life. I'm sorry.
Good.
I think that they're like fine. Yeah, like that. The real answer to so many of these questions is like, someone's like, "What do you think of this?" It's like, I don't. I'm sorry. Like,
I don't think.
I got so
Someone
many
asked
things
your
to think
favorite
about.
ice cream flavor.
Strawberry.
Fuck.
Easy.
Actually,
Easy.
yeah.
I'm really boring.
Okay,
I also
no.
really like vanilla.
Okay, strawberry, but like with the strawberry with like the strawberry chunks in it is nasty. I'm
Oh
sorry.
yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Specifically, like good strawberry ice cream. I don't know.
Okay.
Like just
Hit us
strawberry
hit us with
flavor.
a all-time top 5 favorite films.
I don't think about films that much. I have friends who are really into films, and they talk about them in a way that I'm like, I think I'm watching movies wrong. So top 5 favorite films of all time. Parasite, Knives Out, both came out in the same year. I love those, and I know that it's corny. I don't give a shit. I liked it. See, I don't think about movies that much. Let's see.
Any shows? Any games?
I like the.
Oh, that's cool.
Man, this is really hard. I feel like this is something that people should think about more often, and I just don't.
I'm in the same boat.
I mean, I don't watch movies often enough.
I
to
watch
know
things
my
and then I
favorites.
immediately forget them. Like they in one ear out the other immediately.
Yeah.
Somebody asked if Homestuck was a fighting game. Hypothetically, what would you want it to be? Like platform, 2D, 3D?
Oh, they're working on one, right? The Strife project.
Yeah.
It looks really cool. For fighting games, I tend to enjoy like 2D fighters. I play a lot of Guilty Gear, which I'm really bad
Oh my god!
at.
Oh.
I'm so sorry. I love Guilty Gear so much.
My friends are. The thing is, it's like Guilty Gear came out, then Street Fighter 6 came out, and so like okay, I bought Street Fighter 6, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get really good at one of the new characters, and then they were like the most dog shit bottom tier character, and I'm like, okay, all right, I'm gonna go back to my main man E Honda, but then for whatever reason I'm like I can't do charge attacks because I'm not good at my like Mayflash is like not responding to, like I don't know, I think it's just because of the angle that I'm holding it at. So it's like okay.
The best way to play fighting games is just pressing every single button at the same time. There's no.
Yeah.
I guess question: Are you ever interested into? Are you ever interested into like fighting game like stories or lore or stuff like that?
Nope.
'Cause you mentioned.
No.
Okay.
Immediate no.
Because I can't
Just like me
can't
for
follow
real.
it. I'm like I just want to watch the funny men punch. So a great example of it's like, well, what I was saying is like we were playing Strive for a little bit, and then we were playing Street Fighter, and I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna play Jury, and then everyone stopped playing Street Fighter because Tekken came out, and then I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking buy Tekken. I'm not gonna do it. You will not get me. I will not be fucking 10 string. Like no, go away from me. And so my friends who are my friend group is like predominantly Filipino. I think that's just how it happened because Filipino people like Philippines. But they just kind of like go together, and as another culture colonized by the Spanish, Mexican, we relate a lot to each other. Is anybody saying Philippines mentioned in the chat? Because I feel like that's every time. But so Filipino people love Tekken for some fucking reason. It's like my friend Dave Allegri, or Scrotum Nose on Twitter, which is just a funny name that it's like I can't believe
Scrotum Nose.
It's a name that he picked like 20 years ago, and it's just he sticks with it.
Wow.
Like, thanks, Dave. Was telling me that like it's very big in the Philippines, like especially like in like the cabinets there, like so people just play Tekken and they love Tekken. And the problem is they're all really good at it, and I am not good at Tekken at all. And the thing with Tekken, sorry, I'm talking about fighting games now, is it's like Tekken's like a 3 combo, then you're done, like match. Like it's just like you get juggled and then it's over. It's like okay. And I'm not good. It's like they're like, oh, it's just like the way you get out of that is like 1, 2 forward down. Like I'm like, I don't. Those are madman words. What does that mean? Like,
the great thing about Guilty Gear is you can just kind of hit burst, and most shit that you can. Defense
I feel
is
like
a lot
Guilty
more
Gear and Street Fighter are
straightforward.
back and forth, and Tekken is not. Tekken is you lose the game now, you're done.
Yeah.
Someone is going crazy, but what do I think about Irish cherubs? I don't. See, again, you're going to be very unsatisfied with the answer. I have never thought about it before. I will not think about it past this point. I guess leprechauns because of the felt. Sure. If you
No.
like it, then that's all that matters. What does it matter with my? What if I said I hated it? Then you'd be really sad, right? So like, just love it on your own.
James, do you like musicals?
Nope.
That's fair.
As someone who's played a lot of musicals in my life, they're meaningless to me now.
No, yeah, I get that. Yeah.
There was a Mamma Mia reference written into one of the Beyond Canon updates, and I didn't know it because I've never seen Mamma Mia. I've only seen Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again.
Oh God.
Because my friends made me watch it.
Same.
It's just like this. I think I don't like musicals because I think that, look, and I know this is an outdated term that only millennials say now. I think musicals are cringe, and like I don't watch them. They're not based. I've known too many musical theater people in my life to like get into musicals. Like I'm not into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Want to do a last call for important questions?
All right, yeah. If you've got something important, we'll do, let's say, 3 more, and then I will probably go take a shower. I got really sweaty. Like, yeesh. I got too into that answer about Mealy, and I'm like, oh god.
We got
worked up.
over here.
Unfortunately, I was like, well, I live in Southern California. It's like muggy and warm. Hold on.
I know the feeling. It's dreadful. And
what's the weather
I
right
literally
now?
live in Texas.
Hold on. What is Siri?
So,
79 degrees.
Thank you. It's 79 degrees outside, which means in my apartment it's about 5,000.
I love that.
Hiso asked, James, would you dub the new sort of art style for Beyond Canon, I guess mainly like the vintage food style?
I would say actually the art style is mostly headed by our art director Kim, though the vintage food style, yeah, it's like we're in this sort of a new era of Homestuck art, and I would say that our art director Kim is most responsible for. They'll sit in like voice chat and like stream each other's screens and just like art jam and like here's how we're gonna do this, and it's like it's paying a lot of attention to old Homestuck panels and the way that Andrew would draw like certain shapes, and there's like so many things that it's like I had no idea about, where it's like the way that like limbs taper and stuff like that, where it's like what does that mean? And it's like, well, does it go in towards the hands or does it go out? Does it flare out towards the hands? And it's like, oh geez, I would have never even thought of that. So there's so much like care and love and paid attention, and that's all. I cannot sing his praises enough. My good friend Kim Quatch, who is Kim Quatz on most platforms, I think. He is fucking incredible. But also, I mean, the thing is, like, all of the art, like both like Kim and Haven, and then Andy and Shumi as well. Like everyone contributes in like a very specific way. That's like it's hard to like exactly. It's like this amalgamation of all of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's yes.
Somebody asked specifically about one. Are there any, I guess, non-canon ships that you subscribe to? Somebody asked about Dirk specifically.
I mean that I like subscribe to. I guess not. Like I don't think. The thing is, I don't think about shipping that
Not
much.
even Dirk Jake.
Well, that's like in the comic. Like I don't think about shipping that much, which is I'm very blessed to be surrounded by other writers that do. my big ship that was non-canon, which I think is stupid that it wasn't, but whatever, I guess. And, was I like? It's weird that I don't know. There's a lot of misconceptions about what people on the team prefer and stuff like that. Like, I really don't care about Dave Cat that much. I always thought that like John Dave was the better ship there. But whatever.
My heart is broken, man. What?
But it's like, it's not to say that Dave Cat is bad. It's just like, oh, I mean, I thought that that's where that was going, and it wasn't. And I think Dave and Carcat, especially in Meat, are very funny. So like it's like, oh, it makes sense, and there's so much there that like I think is very like the fucking speaker crab is one of the funniest things in the like, and then where Dave's talking to him on the plush rump communicator, and it's all like muffled, and it's just like there's so many stupid things. I think that they bounce off of each other very well creatively, because both Dave and Carcat are creative people. They like it, and that's kind of like a weird thing that they like you miss out on because of all the, like the stupid shit that happens. It's like they like to make stuff, and so they're like both artists, and they both make like weird shit together. And I think that that's very funny, and that's like a cool thing to explore. But also like I think that sort of like woobification of like characters is very real, and I think that a lot of people just don't get the dynamic very well. But also like it's not even like my favorite ship. I don't even think it's the best ship for like either one of them. I was a staunch like John Dave shipper. Like I thought that was good, and then for Carcat, it's like, man, Carcat, like who? There's Solock, there's so many characters for Carcat that are like, there's Terezi, it's just like, but I don't know. I like Carcat a lot as a character, and I like that sorry, I'm talking about shipping now. I like that Carcat loves so completely. There's this line that he says, I think about Terezi, where it's like, he foolishly, like, he's like, I wanted you in like every quadrant, like just like some sort of like idiot. And I'm just like, man, I get that. He's like this hopeless romantic, even like for Black Rom, which I think is very funny. But like, I think if anyone has subscribed to like the human concept of love the most, it's probably Carcat.
Yeah.
It's just, he's great. He's a great character, multi-shipping phenomena, Carcat Vantis. And then we beefed him up now, so now he's a beefcake. Yippee!
For the last question, do we have any big overarching one that we want to ask? I'm looking at chat now. James, how was your day?
I mean, it's mostly this, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's fair.
It started at 11 in the morning.
Oh, it did, yeah. My bad. Oh, because of different time zones, yeah.
Oh, okay, so someone is saying, hey Jamie, Old Tomorrows is very similar premise-wise to, I can't say that word, Diltridians, especially about the genetic modification mutilation. You should check it out.
Yeah, I don't know what that's.
Yeah, I don't know either.
All right. Sure.
Huh?
I'm not 9.
I'll take one last one. Let's see what's the
one last question.
Holy shit!
Yes.
400.
And then we gotta end this.
It's a gotcha game dropping.
Sweaty. I'm getting a rash.
not reading that.
That's gross. I'm so sorry I said that. That's what I mean. Like, I gotta leave because I'll just say.
He already answered it. Favorite ice cream flavor.
Yeah. Somebody asked about the gotcha game that y'all talked about on the Reddit.
The gotcha game is something that it's a bit of an so I will talk about the gotcha game a little bit. It's a bit of an inside joke that is like beyond the point where it's a joke because we all want to make it, because we would all like to make a whole ton of money at the expense of gambling children. No.
I love to gamble.
You know what? That's the worst thing that they did with. Well, no, it's probably not the worst thing that they did with Overwatch. They took away the loot boxes. I give them back.
Get me started.
I fucking
God!
Stupid.
Please let me gamble.
Dog, don't get me started.
You have multiple people who will go for hours about why.
Yeah.
The
gotcha game is like, this is an idea that I I put up a proposal. I was like, here's what we would need to make this happen. Here's the money that we would need to spend on this. Here's, here's the people we would need to talk with. It's like, here's this, and this. And years ago, probably a decade ago at this point. Back when there was still hope of making games with, the gaming industry fell apart. If you guys don't know, everything's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
every industry has fallen apart in some way. Animation is crumbling, games is crumbling, and it's all because of greedy billionaires who are okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I pitched that, and then back then, What Pumpkin was like, we don't really do stuff like that. And I was like, okay, that's fair. You guys don't, But now that I'm not really in charge of What Pumpkin or anything like that. I have a license to work with the an open license to work with the Homestuck IP, and I'm the only one doing anything with it. So I'm basically just in charge of it right now. So it's fine. But What Pumpkin does other things. Well, I mean, they do Hiveswap and the other stuff too. But on the HSBC team, it's we want to make other stuff too. Right now, it's kind of a money issue where we don't have. It's you see the numbers on the Patreon. It's okay, cool. We split that 8 ways. So any number that you come up with divided by 8, and I will tell you right now that it's not that much a month per person. But the joy of that is this time around, we don't have to pay that to anybody. We don't have to give any money to Viz. We don't have to give any money to What Pumpkin. It all goes to the artists and the writers of it, which is great. But it is not that much total. Also, Patreon takes a huge chunk. I guess that's where a lot of it goes. It's when you get into those sorts of numbers with Patreon, they take 25% of it, just as a fee.
Ooh.
It's a lot. It's crazy. So when you see the subscription numbers and then you start to add it up, it's they're making this much a month. It's we're not actually. I was I guess it's just a point of complete clarity for me. It's a couple $100 a month. It's not a ton. And if you have to pay any bills at all, you understand how little that stretches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't cover even a third of my rent. So, and then I have electric bill, and medical bills on top of that. And it's not a ton of money.
Yeah.
So we all have day jobs, and we can't afford to stop doing our day jobs to do the comic and a game. But it's one of those things where it's man, we really want to do this. So I've been looking to set up more sort of passive income for everybody, so that we can focus on that more. And it's one of the things that I've been trying to do. Sorry, this is really not that interesting, but I feel it warrants a little bit of clarity with the fandom, because What Pumpkin in particular has been so, I don't know, obfuscating of things for so long. I don't want to just take all of the money for myself. I want to give it to the team as much as I can, because I think that people who are satisfied and paid well and well taken care of make better things than people who are miserable and constantly struggling. As someone who is miserable and constantly struggling for a long period of time, your creative output is nothing. You're not making good stuff. You're making what you can, And so I want to take care of the team so that we can make better stuff. And unfortunately, that requires a certain amount of algorithmic shilling of the Patreon and stuff like that. And I hate being the guy that's give us more money, all the time. It's such a it's so, I don't want to say it's annoying to ask for money all the. It's just it's annoying to see it. I imagine being these guys want us to give to the Patreon again after what they did last time, and it's I get it. So it's stuff like the gacha game and stuff like the Spurbology book and stuff like that, and art books and merch and stuff that takes money to make, and not just because it not just the upfront cost of producing stuff like that, but the human cost of paying people to do that. I can't I mean, I could just go onto the like if I go to the, I'm sure there's plenty of people that would volunteer, and people come into my DMs all the time and be like, "Hey, I would do this for free," and I'm like, "I'm not going to do that to you because that's stupid. That's really exploitative, and I don't like that. So I won't do that. And if that means that, like, unfortunately, I have to forego like making Bro Strider body pillow or whatever, you know, like whatever nonsense you guys were talking about.
Body pillow.
Yeah, unfortunately, it takes money to make money. Full, like, you know, shit like that. Where it's like, we have an opportunity to do shirts as merchandise with no upfront cost from us, through Tomato Co. But now it becomes an issue of like, I need to grab one of the artists who's very currently, like, all of the artists are currently busy making the comic and their day jobs and whatever other side hustles they have to do, because you need like 5 jobs to live now, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm actually about to be like, my main day job that pays, I would say, 80% of my bills is ending the end of next month, so I got to figure that out very quickly.
God knows that's a bitch to do.
You got this, though.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. So there's stuff where it's just like, yeah, if you see me shilling, just and you don't like it, pretend you don't see it. Okay, like I'm gonna be like, please give me your money, teenagers. I'm sorry.
Please, I need the balloons.
Please, yeah, give me your doubloons.
I'm assuming that's not a meme that you're familiar with.
Oh, the cat with the 4 doubloons? Yeah, no, I don't know.
Oh, okay. You just seemed really confused.
It's just a funny word.
I didn't say it in reference to that. I said it doubloons because I like pirate stuff.
Fair.
Who doesn't? Yeah, so and again, like, it's one of those things where it's like, we're never gonna trap content behind like a paywall. I thought that was kind of silly before, so, you know, we're giving it away all for free. So actually, if you just want to go and subscribe to the Patreon as a free member, you still get a bunch of shit. Like, it's just like it's like 2 months after we release it as paid content, it comes out for free. So there's all this like writer's commentary and stuff that you could just go and look at now. It's just there.
Ooh.
It's fun. It's like there's bonus comics and stuff. And yeah, like, it's kind of like, they're kind of silly, but it's like, well, it takes a lot of time to make things. So anything that it's like we want to do, we're kind of stopgapped by just not having upfront money for it to like pay people to do it. And a lot of that is even just the team where it's like, I'm not going to make them do extra work for no added incentive or like delayed incentive where it's like, yeah, don't worry, we'll make money later. And then you can have it later for the work you do now. It's like, we're all very kind of stressed out already. But we're still working on it, just very, very slowly. So I promise I'll probably never make a body pillow. Actually, that's really a stupid idea. And if you suggested that, I will come to your house and yell at you. I will manifest in your room and shriek so loudly that your screensaver will deactivate.
Scatter.
Actually, I don't think that kids don't have computers anymore, which is crazy to me. Kids these days, they don't even have a PC in their home that's expensive and does nothing that their phone can't do. I'm so old where it's like, you know, that thing that was going around where it's like people are buying plane tickets on their phone, and someone's like, that's a laptop purchase, and I'm like, that's a desktop purchase. I don't trust laptops. No.
Right.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, James, for coming out here.
Yeah.
It was an honor.
Fun.
It was fun. It was an honor, man. Thank you so much.
It was wonderful
for,
having you, and thank you for being like so interested in what everybody had to say and all the questions.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Hey, also, happy Cyclonials Day yesterday for those of you who celebrate. See people talking about Cyclonials merch. I'll ask Andrew if he wants to do that. I probably won't. Sorry. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for having me, everyone. It's been a pleasure. I'm so happy that you guys care enough to like have me here.
Thank you so much.
You're a chill dude. It was nice having you.
Yeah, of course.
I think it's really important to like keep like, I don't know, to be a part of these like small community events when you can. I don't know. So
That's a
thanks for
good
having me.
value to have.
Yeah.
You
Appreciate
guys
it.
make it work. So I want to be here for that sometimes. Not every time.
Yeah.
Please don't invite me to your server ever again. Just kidding.
Yeah, fair.
Okay.
I can
Once
imagine
fair,
how
fair.
stressful this
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I'm
thank you
like
so much.
I'm like sweaty to the point where I'm damp, so I am going to go.
Again, I'm
All
sorry
right.
for keeping you so long.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
okay.
really.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of
All
course. Later.
Later.
All right, bye everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.